Everybody. Today I will be discussing in detail about the activities and structure of bench scale activities as regard the chemical process development work for which I am discussing with you. Bench scale activities start with a lot of information collection, that is going through the old reports, talking to seniors and doing comprehensive literature work. Once we select a few schemes, then definitely our next task will be uh, with which scheme to continue or which scheme will be useful for us overall. So definitely the main focus is on the production of the material which we want to sell or with which we want to continue with our further industrial production. So while discussing a particular scheme, as we know, a basic reaction we can write like this, or we can imagine like this: A plus B, in which A and B are two different reactants, and we get the final product C. In some scheme, there can be more than two reactants. It can be a chemical reaction using multiple reactants. Then how do we finally select a particular scheme? So then we have to do a lot of trade-off work. In which scheme we are using minimum number of steps, which scheme is simpler, then the raw materials or the reactions which we are using, are these easily available? Then next question is, do they impose any kind of health hazard or anything related to environment? Or if there is any kind of intermediate or waste in a particular scheme, is this waste easily manageable, or does it impose any kind of health hazard, or does it uh, implicate any kind of environmental issues? So all these constants we have to consider. Another constant is the time constant. How much time we can allocate for doing this kind of exercise? Say 6 months, 1 year, it depends how much we can afford. Once we are through a particular scheme, then we have to go further and see if we implement this scheme on industrial scale, what kind of manpower will be used. For example, how many engineers we would like to have in our plant, how many skilled and semi-skilled workers will be required in each shift. Secondly, what kind of instrumentation we will require to control the process. So these are the different issues which we consider during our bench scale experiments, and this is also the time when engineers they join a chemist or the researcher, because it is the engineer who will be visualizing what these activities look like on industrial scale, which I will discuss in my next conversation. But let us again focus on the bench scale experiments. So once we are through the scheme, we have some insight into the uh, volume of personnels we will require in our plant. Then what are the analytical methods available for us to control the process? Similarly, do we have sufficient methods to do the raw material analysis? Let me clarify here that we will be very much interested in knowing the precise analysis of raw material, but the intermediate steps, they do not require a very precise analysis of the intermediates. Similarly, we will be interested in doing a very precise analysis of the finished product. And since we are selecting a particular scheme, we will be interested in knowing the quantity of yield and how much finished product we have got, and have we really optimized the scheme, have we got the maximum quantity of finished product which we expected. So all these are the parameters which we have to look into while we are finalizing a particular scheme. Thank you very much. In my next talk, I will be discussing about the role of pilot plant unit before we go for a industrial plant. Thank you very much.